Good morning, Hazel.
Oh, good morning.
Hi. Yeah. So we're talking about relationships today. Last time we the topic was how spirit works with the body when the mind's out of the way, basically, and that's more and more, I feel, for myself, a way of life. I know what I'm interested. It's what I'm interested and committed to that way of life, where I'm not thinking my way through life, and I feel like I have that infusion, and I'm aligned with spirit, and I'm in my flow and clear what resonates for me, and there's a lightness and there's an ease, and I feel really congruent with what I'm here to embody in that vibration. Yeah, that's I'm more and more available for that as I get my mind out of the way, so to speak, and spirit can show up. And then, of course, I'm interested in connecting with like resonant folk. And when we're talking about relationships today, and I think maybe it's hardwired. I don't know. I know for myself, I'm in a phase in my life where I'm open to a loving partnership and an individual to share my life and build a life with, and have another family. And so yeah, so question for you, I guess, where would you like to start with that?
Well, I think really relationships is a hot topic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll start with something that I put on my Facebook page. I think it was yesterday, and it is the purpose of relationship is to decide how you want to show up in the world. First of all, for yourself, and the most important relationship, the one you have with God. So you perfect those, and by perfection I mean allowing it to flow. Perfection to me is flow, it's not stagnant. So that is the most important relationship, because until that is in place, whatever relationship any of us has across the board, you know, whether it's an intimate relationship, a friendship, a working relationship, we're going to sabotage that at some stage. Because if we're not in alignment and understand ourselves, and we haven't got a connection with God, we're not aligned with it, then it's just not going to work permanently, because we're going to be coming from emotional needs and demands and insistence. Look, what we have is what we're going to get. We want to control it. So the first relationship is the one with ourselves and God. We get that right, and then we are ready. We are on that vibration to attract that to us through our consciousness. Okay? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And just, I suppose, on that front, then the extent to which we're on that journey, we're always going to be brought into relationship with people that our higher self sees us having an exchange with, that give us an opportunity to refine that relationship with ourselves, right?
Absolutely. And I've got really good examples from my own life. So I'd like to share that, because a lot of relationships in this time in our evolution is all about the karmic ties. Now that's got nothing to do with twin flames. All right. To me, the twin flame is inside of me. It's the divine masculine, which gives and creates, and it's the divine feminine, which receives and loves and nurtures what is created. That is inside me. It's got nothing to do with gender. It's genderless. So inside myself, I feel androgynous. So that comes together in me, and then that creates the divine marriage between me and God. Okay, it's really like that inside the body. So to me, that is my twin flame. I'm not waiting for someone to show up out there as a man or a woman, or whatever gender they choose, to be my twin flame, because I am whole within myself. But what I feel and what I've experienced, that we attract souls that we have been friends with or lovers with in a previous existence somewhere, not necessarily on this timeline of 3D. So I'd like to share what happened to me way back in 1992 that I now know was karmic, and it had a real hold on me unconsciously. And this happens across the board in a lot of relationships. Not all, but the vast majority, because we've all got karma and it all involves other people, which is a relationship. So like you said, perfectly described, the I am presence of the two of us will bring us together. We don't even have to search for it. It will just happen. Bring us together to either continue and compound the karma or transcend it. Right? So in this particular lifetime, so I met this chap, 1992, and I fell in love with this man, hook, line and sinker. And he, supposedly, with me. Okay? And it was though our minds were tangled up like a ball of wool. And my solar plexus was painful when I wasn't with him. It was that entangled with him. Now, a lot of people would mistake that for, I've got to be with this man, I've got to be with this man, which was me. My body and that force that was within me compelled it to happen. I now know that that was my I am presence, that I was going to go through this no matter what. And he was going to go through it no matter what. Now, we met in midlife. I think I was in my early 40s, he was in his late 40s, okay, and it was really, really powerful. So I ended the marriage that I was in, and I married this man. And for the first 4 months, I suppose you could say, it was the best of times. After that, I started to see things. I actually saw his soul body as a demon. And I thought, this can't be. And I just, no, this can't be. Time went on and lots of things happened, and I saw lots of things energetically, and I still had this mental block. Now, we were together about 3 years, and I started to get a weakness in my arms that I couldn't explain. I had no strength. I couldn't open lids of jars and things. And it was just as though my physical arms were etheric, that I didn't have real arms. It literally felt like that. So in those, I went to the doctor, which I would have done in those days, but I wouldn't now. And no, you know, nothing wrong with you, don't know what you're talking about. And I asked and I sat, meditated, felt into my arms, didn't get any affirmation or guidance to what that could be. So I looked to vitamins and minerals, what am I lacking, la-di-da-da-da. Even though I knew, I felt as though I was dying, I just had this torso. So a little while ago, this was astonishing to me because these revelations always are. I was having a clearing with myself of entities and parasites and demons, which we should all do regularly because they reside at an etheric level and a lower astral level. We need to keep that part of ourselves clear and clean. So I felt as though I had bands around my shoulders, a bit like a slave might have, you know, but without a chain. And it was like my arms were severed. I thought, oh my God, I've had my arms chopped off. Now, obviously not in this lifetime. So that is an imprint in my DNA from a previous lifetime. And obviously I'm here to correct that. So I just sat with it. I went into it more and I saw the Ku Klux Klan come in front of me. And I was a man and I had my hands tied behind me. I was kneeling down and they just chopped my arms off. And when I looked at the leader, who was smiling at me with one of those awful grins, you know, they just make you go, oh dear God, this is evil. And it was my ex-husband's face on this leader of the Ku Klux Klan. So I realized that. I just went into my own ritual, I suppose you could do it, bringing light and all of that, just sitting with that knowledge. And then I was taken to a time in our life, in this life, where he'd hurt his leg, his knee. He had his leg up. And I was shown, literally as a vision, when I was looking at him, and the words were said to me, all the time you are with him, you'll always be tied to the devil. And I couldn't believe that either. It was just this mental block. But that was before I had my vision very lately about the arms, which I'd asked for the answer to for years. I mean, we're talking nearly 20 years ago, 17 years ago. No answer, but it's divine timing. We're always told the answer in divine timing, not our time. So what I mean by that is when the I Am knows we're ready to really shut down that timeline. So I'm looking at all of this and the entanglement and so on. And from there, I could see that this human in a body was attached to something off planet that was very unsavory. But nevertheless, I had agreed to a connection, okay, because there was love there. But this karmic ritual, this karmic timeline had to be played out. So I realized then that I had to accept all of that, which I did because of all the other things I understand and what I've been through. So it was quite easy for me to literally, I rolled in front of that timeline like they rolled that big, huge stone in front of the tomb of Christ. I rolled that in front and I made sure it fitted well. I made sure there were no wormholes or portals around it, which could lead to off-planet influences through my lower chakra system. And I dealt with that. And then my arms started to get strong again because I dealt with that. Now, this man believed I was his twin flame. And I can only feel and come to the conclusion that that was part of the deceit. Because he used to look at me and say that. And he said, no, you're not my twin flame. No, I don't believe there's such a thing in that way. But there are off-planet beings that will instill that as a belief system into the planet to keep us down. And people go about looking for their soulmate. They go about looking for their twin flame. Where are you? Where are you? So they're projecting themselves in the future all the time, instead of aligning themselves with their own personality, dealing with their own wants, needs, and demands from within themselves, aligning themselves with God and forgetting the rest until they understand what the rest is, in the astral world, going down into the lower echelons. And this happens not necessarily to have the same thing happen, if your arm's cut off, but this is happening in a lot of relationships in this day and time, because we have to bring back our power and bring back all of our scattered energy, wherever it is, whatever timeline, into our own bodies. Because I'd obviously given my power away to one degree or another. Otherwise, that would have never happened to me.
Yeah, and that was
make sense?
Yeah,
so
it does.
I want to share that because people will say, "Oh, I often hear, twin flames can be a terrible relationship," but that's not your twin flame. Then this is just absolute ecstasy and bliss. But I would always say to people, if you think you've got that kind of relationship, wait 5 years and have that confirmed to you who it is, who is really your partner or who you're married to. And stop looking at the person, how they look, their features, feel their vibration. Really feel their vibration. And if, like me, you couldn't believe what you were feeling, just sit with that and learn to go to the I Am presence to sort it out. So you don't have to go through 17 years, the best of times and the worst of times. That's my advice to anybody in those kinds of relationships. Okay, so stop labeling twin flames as twin flames because it's a distraction. Spirituality is very simple. It either is or it is not. It's very, very simple. But we can't get that because our minds, our lower mind, our human mind is coloured grey a lot of the time. Because what are we always told? Oh, nothing's black and white. There's a lot of grey in between. But in this instant, it either is or it isn't. You're either in tune or you're not. That's what that means.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. I'm really
On,
passionate about that.
yeah. So on that level, then it needn't take years and years, because we're going to be, aren't we, as we are on this journey of aligning ourselves with God, if you like, and finding our highest path. We're going to be invited to, like you say, take our power back. So we're going to have these exchanges that give us an opportunity to see where we've been holding ourselves back and what timelines, like you say, we need to close down. So, for example, with that relationship you identified there, you had that kind of victim bully thing going on, and I'm sure some other stuff, and you had to go through that in order to close down that timeline, so that you'd learn everything there was to learn from that dynamic, so you could move on and take your life in a different direction.
That's right. And there will be layers to it, Seb, as well, because I had quite a few lives with this person, this man, and I'd dealt with those. I'd uncovered what those lives were. So I'd uncovered them, took off the layers, and now I've got to the root of it. All right. So a lot of people say, oh, I thought I dealt with that, but we'll have quite a few encounters, lifetimes, timelines with certain people over and over again. And that was me with him. But the first life I was ever shown wasn't about the Ku Klux Klan, but I uncovered the love in the first vision that was shown. Then I uncovered other stuff, how it all got tangled up in another lifetime with other people as well. And I just dealt with that, and I had shut those timelines down because they are different timelines but with the same people. And now this one, I knew this was it. I was, ready to face that, because you can't have a vision and deal with like the Ku Klux Klan coming at you if you're not emotionally stable. It's just not going to happen. If you're into drama, it's just not going to happen. You're just going to make it worse, and you're going to attract more and more to you. So we've got to do things in the correct order if we want that simplicity and that flow, and for our lives to take on, harmony. So
How would so, in terms of like genuine twin, because there's twin flames are a popular subject. If someone puts a video up on twin flames, it's likely to get quite a lot of interest, I think, because it's so it's popular.
And it's popular because people yearn for that companionship, that deep love. But that is the love they've got to give to themselves. That deep love is between us and God. It's not come from a person outside of us.
Yeah, no such thing as a twin flame that is your sort of counterpart essence closer to God in terms of how would you define it?
My experience is that I am very close to God like that, and He is my divine masculine. It is my divine masculine and my divine feminine come together in me. Now, I also had a lifetime in Lemuria, and we didn't have sexual relationships outside of our own bodies. That really, wow, what's this about? And then we came to this planet, which, remember, is full of hybrids. It's filled with beings that have created hybrids, and they're from other planets. So I know that I came and I was in Lemuria, and I was androgynous, didn't have sex outside myself in the way that we have sex, an interchange of energy, that sexual intercourse. So what happened to a lot of Lemurians, we watched this going on outside of ourselves, like two separate people, male and female, or whatever, coming together and exchanging energy through the flesh. And that was really gross and coarse to us. But the slippery slope, we'd open our minds to that. We're curious about that. What's that about? We found ourselves experimenting and coming down into even more gross matter. And we found ourselves experimenting in that way as well. And so, we just fell more and more into density. And then the violence and the, what goes on in these kinds of relationships, whether it's verbal, emotional, or physical, started happening. And a lot of us left the planet because we couldn't stand it. Violence was just so abhorrent to us in any shape or form. So all of us left the planet. We left the earth. And, you need to understand the history of the earth, but very, very loosely, that's what happened. And we're back now to show people. Now, I've had an I am presence exchange, and you would call it sex, but at a much higher level. And it is an auric exchange. Through the aura, you're so at one with that person at that time. Doesn't mean it's going to carry on, because you can have these beautiful, beautiful auric exchanges. They are sublime. And then after that, should have been just that one thing going on. And after that, you might think, oh, this is it, this is it, this is the twin flame. But you were just meant to have that experience of how it should be, how it can be, but not necessarily with that person that was brought into your field for you to experience that with. So that's why I say to people, don't rush anything. Look at the vibration of the person, because we're all made up, aren't we, multi-facets, because we've all come through the shit, sewerage. We've all come through that and we're all cleaning it off. So there's a lot with all of us. But when you are ready, you're going to have the most beautiful relationship, but that doesn't mean they're your twin flame. God and you. And I believe, and I truly feel, when I say I believe, which really means I hope it's true, but I really feel that my twin flame is inside of me, a merging of the divine masculine, the divine feminine with God. And that's the Holy Trinity.
So yeah, and that's the trick then in our relationships, isn't it? Is having that connection and worthiness with ourselves, so that we're able to discern the quality of the relationship, because we're all on our journey, right? And
Yes.
your ex partner, you mentioned, and his stuff, you know, he has the choice to do his work and find his alignment with God and close his timelines, and you got clear about what the nature of that was for you and what you had to learn and move on from, and he had the opportunity to make those choices as well. And because of your commitment to spirit and your clarity, you were able to see what was in it for you and move forward. And we all have that same opportunity, and we're all brought together. And in the same way your higher self brought you to him, his higher self brought you to you.
That's right. For me to clear that karma that I had, and for him to see whatever he was meant to see. You know, his tyrannical ways, his bullying, his cruelty, you know, all of that, you know, was for him to see, and other stuff as well. But that's my perception of it.
Yeah, and all that shadow stuff in the collective, we all share that to one degree or another.
Oh my goodness, Sebastian, it is rife, and people are so deluded by it. They really are. And that's why, you know, in my classes, I make sure we go to the I am first. We ignore everything else, because people are very, very psychic, and more people are getting more and more psychic, and they don't know how to traverse the spheres. That's what I call it. They don't know how to navigate the fourth dimension, which is where all this stuff is. You know, have you noticed that people don't mention the fourth dimension? They say we're going from the third to the fifth. Don't they ever question, well, what's happened to the fourth then? And people say, oh, the fourth's collapsed, but it hasn't. This is where all this stuff we're talking about, you know, subhuman frequencies, really low astral frequencies that come from off-planet ships. Not all, you know, obviously some are good. Comes from other star systems. Remember, every star system and every universe has its 3D counterpart. It's not just the Earth that has 3D. So going back to the relationships, you know, people often say to me, I'm ready for this relationship. But their tone and their voice says the opposite. They're not ready.
They're ready for that frequency of relationship, aren't they? Learning, growing relationship.
They're ready for the breadcrumb trail of relationships. Yeah. Okay, be open. But I can tell by your voice and tone you're not ready for the perfect, harmonious, flowing, beautiful, loving relationship. You're ready to dip your toe in to find out what you need to put right within yourself. So you might have a relationship for a week and think, oh, that was lovely, while it lasted. All right? And there's nothing wrong with knowing. We all know when it's time to stop that and change it. We all know. And that will come from the I am presence, when you've mastered and learned and transcended everything in your DNA about that relationship. Some people come to us just to soothe us at certain times. Let that go. Some come to teach us things. Let that go. Just get your relationship with yourself and God right first of all. So when you're saying, you know, I'm ready for a relationship, which is something, you know, I've been saying, and I knew I'm not quite ready. No, I'm not. I'm not ready to stand naked. I mean, physically naked in front of another man who comes into my life. Just yet. Oh, I've got work to do there. Probably the fact that, you know, I'm 65 and so on. But I'm really looking at that and thinking, I really love everything about my body. And I've got the breadcrumb trail. I'm working to accept every level of myself as I am. So when I've done that, that's another little tweak I've done to bring in to my life someone who can share same things that I love and so on and so forth. Right, anyway, I'm getting away from that. So the thing about relationships, whether it's siblings, mother, father, lover, friend, is to see how they flow, those relationships. And if they don't flow, don't look to the other person, look to yourself. Why is this not flowing? What is the block in me? Always do that. You don't have to fix. And what else I find with people that are married and they come up against a challenge, a blip, there's a lot of partners, men and women, who want to fix and save their partners and give them a lot of advice. And a lot of them want to coach their partners. We're not here as a loving partner to do that. We're not here to be their nurse, their coach, fix them, save them, or any of those things. And a lot of women especially come to me and say that. How can I change that? You can't. And you shouldn't want to, because that is control and that is a mental container. So, you know, be really careful about that. That makes sense, Seb?
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's inviting, isn't it? That individual to own those aspects within themselves. And
always, Seb, always.
It can be a job, can't it? Discerning the quality of the relationship, particularly when there's an investment in this being what someone wants it to be, to actually own up to the fact that actually maybe this isn't somebody who I'm going to be spending a long time with and have everything I thought I wanted with, and here's what the invitation for me to integrate and move on from is.
Yeah, and really understand that, because then you're not going to be too disappointed. Oh, you're going to be upset, you're going to be hurt for sure, but you're going to get over that quite quickly, you know, when you start to embed what relationships are really about. So we're talking about like soul relationships. We're talking about the vibration of a relationship, not the human way that, you know, my mum and dad did it, which was meant for that time. Man went out to work and the woman was at home and she serves the man, basically, which the woman is here to receive. That's the feminine principle. But how many women out there think they give away a lot? I'm not so sure they think they do, because they're controlling a lot of it. Or they're saying, I'll do this to appease him. So they're, you know, it's not a substantial relationship, because what they're doing or what he's doing, you know, is to appease, is to control, terrorize, victim bully all the time. All right, and that gets clearer and clearer and cleaner as we go through our relationships, whether that's, you know, colleagues or whatever. So you know, that's how we sabotage our relationships when we're not ready for the one that's shown up. So if, for example, beautiful woman or a beautiful man inside in their soul shows up and you're not ready, that's all going to come up in you, and they might just have shown up to show you their gift to you. Well, you're not quite ready. If you tweak this and you tweak that, you might be ready soon. And that's how it is. So yet again, take time. Meet someone, fall head over heels in love, but take your time. Look into the future, because you can do that from the I am presence. Where's the vibration of you both then? But that doesn't mean don't go into that relationship.
Sure.
Take the joy, take the golden nuggets, enjoy each other. But don't hang on and start, because love, as I posted, is people, they find the love beautiful. Now, love is not human. Love is God. It's a part of God. There's nothing human about love. But what humans do, that love drops down from the heart into the belly, into the solar plexus, and we start thinking, oh, I want to set home together, I want to make a nest and all of that. There's all human stuff, it's all the lower chakras. Oh, it's not funny really, it's horrendous actually, but when you're the other side you can smile at it. So they set up this, and then they go along 2 years, they, hold on a minute, this is not what I thought I was going to get. Okay, because we've taken that love that is God and we've made it too human. And we're now coming into that place, praise God, that we're going to flow with our relationships, truly flow. And because we're more closer and embedded in the I am, we're just going to know this is it. This is the flow. And we know that we're with someone like that because we're both going to work at it. When I say work at it, we're going to flow with it. And when we know something's coming up in the early days, we say, well, this is coming up for me. I think, I'd like to talk about this. And they're going to talk about it. You're going to talk about it together from love and realize what human part of me have I got to kind of tweak to make this even more loving, make this better. If people want to call that a twin flame, well, you can. But when you die, you won't be taking your twin flame with you. You'll be taking your to God. So sorry, and like I said, some relationships are meant for lessons, not a lifetime, to show us truly, are we loving? And this thing about unconditional love, what's that mean? I've got a thing about this, I bring it up all the time. Humans put that word there. There's no such thing as conditional love or unconditional love. Love is love. If you find yourself using that word, I'd encourage you to examine why you use that, because that's another mental container, because it tells us, something in this world has put that limiting belief out there to even separate love into conditional or unconditional. It's a big fat lie. It's a big fat lie. It comes from off-planet beings that can control us through our chakra system. All right, so just be really careful. The words we use are the clues. And we will in maybe 5-10 years, we won't even be using half the words we use now, because they won't have that, we won't have that trapped charge, that enslavement anymore. We just won't have it.
Yeah, and all that separation and different levels, part of the evolution we're in is that changing an operating system and coming to more evidence of that oneness and wholeness. So these separations become less and less prominent, eh?
Just don't get caught in drama. If you're a drama king or queen, you're just going to always get caught up in drama, always. So just stop it. So with your own trail of relationships, you're really getting a really sound footing on what we're talking about, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And there's supposed to be a fun and a lightness, right? In terms of navigating our way through these relationships and discerning what the learning is, or whether there's a basis for that beautiful flowing and being able to relate to one another in that energy and grow and evolve and move forwards together. There's definitely a knowing there, and I don't think it's supposed to be hard graft. There's an investment that people have, I think, in that. I think
that's the drama. That's the drama, isn't it? It's we all know these people. I've got something happening in my life, and I really need to talk about it. which is the human self, needs all of that. And that then they talk about it, they perpetuate it. They've got friends who kind of agree with them, and they go into this thing about, oh, I'd leave, or I'd do this, oh, I'd kick him out. And we've got all this drama going on in the human matrix. And it is nothing at all to do with that. Nothing at all.
The work is finding our own alignment, isn't it? That's the work. It's finding our
ourselves, the connection with God. You can't be aligned without it. It's not possible. You know, if you don't like the word God, ask yourself why you don't like that word. What's going on in your life for you to be against that vibration of the word God? You know, religion's got a lot to say about that. This is nothing to do with religion at all. So I'll just make that clear for our listeners. Seb, we're not into religion. Neither Seb nor I were into connecting with the God force and living our lives from that space. And then that flows out into all our relationships beautifully. And then when you get to that stage, you cannot not but attract someone who's beautiful inside and wants to flow as well. He doesn't want to control and all of that. But it takes a while to get there.
Yeah, and getting there, in my experience, part of finding more and more of my own alignment has been clearing other people's energies and all, you know, and interference, really.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And living with other people's realities and energies. So yeah, and it's part of that process of the navigation and the discerning and getting clear about what our own my own resonance, my own vibration, my essence, what I feel like I'm here to embody and bring, and really committing to that. And that becomes a guide for me. It's like, okay, where's my connection here? And that process of clearing out those energies has been something, eh? What would be some guidance for people on that score? Because some, in relationship, particularly with some individuals and parents or whatever it is, or significant others, lovers, you know, that entanglement can get very captivating, right? And very influential in terms of how we're experiencing ourselves in the world. And it's not our own stuff, right? It's not stuff that we need to work through. It's just stuff we need to identify and clear out of our own energy system, because it gets in the way of clarity.
Yeah, well, that's yet again with entanglement, isn't it? But you know, what I do with all my students is we go through recalling all of our energy, our individual energy from relationships we've had, especially you know, intense ones like family and the tribe we're born into, which is our family, our mum, dad, and siblings, and so on, and any, you know, intense emotional relationships, is to recall all of our consciousness, our energy, from those people's auric fields, because it's ours and we have to deal with it. And then we return what is entangled in us, shows up as limiting beliefs, back to them. You know, and a very simple way of explaining how we take on through osmosis what our parents do is, it was a very silly thing, but when I first got married, I used to cook my cabbage like my mum did, and I hated it. I thought, why do I keep doing this? You know, and I did it for about 6 months until I one day thought, I'm not doing this anymore. But that's how insidious.
Yeah.
You know, and you get mothers who feel, I love my son, I love my daughter, I love my children. They're so controlling. They love them so much, they're so possessive of them, which is not love, and they're so afraid for them, which is not love. They won't even let them go and play out in the streets anymore. They won't even let them walk to school anymore, because they've bought into the fear. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Children do get abducted, adults do, children do get hurt, but in truth it's the minority. And if we buy into that fear, which many parents do, we're never going to get out of it, and not going to get out of it in this lifetime. What I did when my little girl was small and she used to play out in the street all the time, you know, in the nice weather and so on and so forth, and she was brought up like that. She's 33 now, but she one day wanted to go swimming. The little girl next door, whose uncle was going to take them. So she came to ask me. She was about 5, and I said to her, right, we're going to ask God about this. So really feel, because I've brought her up this way, really feel into this little girl's uncle. What do you feel? And I'll do the same, and then we'll say what we feel, whether you should go or not, or what God thinks. And she said to me, I don't think I should go, Mum. And I got exactly the same feeling. So I was empowering her to make her own decision from the right place, the right thing. And then we moved to Devon, and she used to love going to the woods to play on her own. And every time she wanted to go, I would say, right, we've got to feel into this, and we've got to be with God through our feelings. Is it okay for you to go today? And she'd say, yeah, it is. And she got, and it, you know, I'd be there as well doing it with her to affirm, but I wanted to empower her to make decisions the right way. And there would be things like we'd be walking along the street, and I'd be saying to her, or there'd be like some Hell's Angels, you know how rough they can look. And I'd say to her, feel into those men over there. We were on the other side of the road. So just feel them as you're walking past. What do you feel? She said, actually, Mum, I feel quite nice. I feel they're very friendly and quite nice. I don't feel, oh, get away, get away. And she was absolutely right. So I taught her from that young age to feel the vibration of people. And so as she grew up and she got a job in corporate London, and I was living in a country abroad, and, you know, in those days after work, I was so stressed, I used to go and drink a lot, and she'd get the late train home. And I could have worried myself sick about that. I used to send my brother, who's in the afterlife, to look after her on the train, and she knew all about these things. But in that drunken state, you know, you've not got all your wits about you, but she has grown up knowing she is always safe, and that she has the means, the tools to keep herself safe. So that eased me. I didn't worry about her, and she always feels safe. I mean, that's a wonderful gift, isn't it, that she's given to herself. She's given that to herself because she's trusting it all the time. And that's how we should be parenting our children, with the world. So there's no fear. She's now got her own son, and you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to be allowed to play outside. And we'll see. We don't know yet. We'll see how that goes. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what we need to be. This should be taught in schools. How to, and I do really believe one day it will, because there are teachers that I already know that could teach this stuff, but the school curriculum as it is has got to crumble. Or these teachers that I know that have left the teaching profession, you know, have got to make up their own little private school in some way, somehow. Just follow the minimum of the schooling curriculum, you know, like read and write, obviously, and add up. And that is the basis for a beautiful relationship when our children grow up. So my daughter's been through relationships, I think about 3 main ones, that she had her challenges, no doubt about it. But now, for her and for her husband, it's a really good match for where they're at. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they're getting there. They're following, the pair of them, what I call the trail.
The basis for our thriving civilization, isn't it? People who are clear and connected, and as Jesus said, you've got the beam out of your own eye, and you're connected with your feeling sense, and you can discern what. Clear and connected.
Dust in another, absolutely. Take out the beam in your own eye, and you'll be able to see a speck of dust in another. That's called discernment, and people don't have it. And people talk to me about trust, and I say to them, no, you don't need trust. You need discernment. And if you can't discern, you've got too much baggage. Hence, what you've just quoted. Beautiful.
Yeah, and hence you'll be in relationships to give you an opportunity to navigate your way through that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, it's all good. We've all come through hell, remember. So, to finish, I want to say to everybody, be as kind as you can to yourself. Going through all of this, be kind. There are many people in this world so shut off from the world and relationships you know, that it's so sad and unnecessary. Just be kind. Be kind to yourselves, everyone, and love, love, love yourself. Look in the mirror of you're watching this, everyone, and I'm going to do it, and we'll Seba do it when we've finished, and just look at yourself and say, look at you today. Oh my God, you look so good. If you can't say that, just look into your eyes and really look at your face for the first time ever. But look deeply into your eyes and get a sense of the feeling that comes through. Practice makes perfect. Means you'll start to see, you'll start to feel. You might even well up and just say, I love you. That's your soul talking to you. Your soul's your I am presence. You know, that's not difficult for me or you, Seb, but I know there's many people that can't do that.
Well, it's reaching within and having some way of getting some momentum with creating the space to generate that connection, because it's not going to come from looking out into the world for it, because we're still in a time where the transition is happening. But I feel like there is, at a certain point, we know our essence, and we can recognize what our truth and where we feel good and most at home in ourselves and safe in our skin and relaxed and at ease and available and powerful. And often it's not the way we've been taught to believe it should look, and it's got nothing to do with that. It's a really, you know, it can be quite a subtle process, but finding that for ourselves, our essential nature, and committing to that, and then expressing ourselves from that place. You know, it's just putting some intention on that and allowing that to unfold.
It is, Seb. It is, you know, we are hardwired to have a joyful life. We are hardwired for that. And that's why we keep striving. Like, you know, when's the happiness going to come? When's the joy going to come? Because we're hardwired to get back to that joy. And that joy is God.
Hallelujah.
You know? So, and everyone's hardwired. Even the hybrids are hardwired with that at some level. You know, even some humans
we all have that.
Are hardwired to find that joy.
Well, that divine spark. Everything has that.
Yeah. So, shall we? That's enough for today, I think. Do you, Seb?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Our next one soon.
Yeah, lots of love to everybody, to all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
All right then.
Parting message: be kind to yourselves, everybody. Be kind. That's enough for now.
Nice.
Bye, Seb.
Bye.